I'm pleased to say we're joined by the boss of the Sportsman Management Company and the first ever weekly Dartscast Manager of the Year award winner, Mac Elkin. Thanks for the time again, Mac. How are you doing?
Alex, I'm really good, mate. Thank you. Nice to get a couple of days at home, but back on the road again tomorrow. So you're lucky you got this time, and I've got the time to do this. But obviously, for you, I'll do anything, mate.
Top man. Well, the last time we had you on, you were with my co-host Bergh, and you joked with him that he didn't big you enough for the intro. How was my effort there?
Superb, mate. Listen, you're way above Bergh. Always have been. These plastic Americans, they're just not with it, are they?
Oh, well, I've got to speak to him later, so I'll say no comment to that. But there is only one place to start, and that is Sunday night. Dimitri van den Bergh, one of the players in your stable, winning the UK Open. You were there in Minehead. What's it like as a manager watching a game like that? Had so much drama, went all the way to a decider in that final.
Yeah, obviously I've been doing it for years. I've learned how to control my heart rate and keep myself quite calm. I know sometimes the players look over towards me, so if they see that I'm nervous or anything, it could give them bad vibes, and I don't want that. So over the years, I've learned to experience certain things and relax more. So I just, in my head, I was going all over the place, but like outside, I was just trying to keep calm and kept looking at Dimmy. I didn't really watch the TVs or the scores. I just kept looking at Dimmy, and if he needed help, he'd look over, and I'd just like give him a little G up and go, "Come on, you're doing okay." And then, as we all know, at 10-8, Dimmy went up to throw and then stopped, walked back to the table to compose himself, and then it all started to go a bit wrong. And I think unfairly, in a way, that the crowd got on his back and everything, because up until then it was a great final. Yes, Dimmy done his things, but Dimmy always does his things. And but at 10-8 when he stops, to be honest, I like him to stay in a rhythm, but he does what's good for him. And the crowd got on his back, but he went up to the board. He started off with 2 trebles again, and so apart from missing the doubles, he done everything right. And it was only at 10-8 when he started to miss a few doubles, and the crowd were laughing and geeing him and booing him and what have you, that it started to go a little bit wrong, and I thought we could lose this after being in so control. But look, at the end of the day, Luke had 2 darts at a double. I didn't expect him to miss. He did, and then Dimmy took out the 64 with 2 cracking darts. So it's a shame for Luke. Listen, he's a brilliant world champion. Fantastic. I've always said from day one, he's a great talker. He's very good at what he does, and he's always level-headed, and he had superb words for Dimmy, and I've got the utmost respect for Luke Humphries for that. But I've always had the utmost respect for Luke anyway, so I didn't expect nothing different. But yeah, it was... Inside, I was absolutely in bits, so I was a total mess. But on the outside, I just tried to stay calm in case Dimmy looks over, and I was there for him just to give him that little, "Come on, Dimmy, you can do this."
You and Dimmy, it's a partnership. It's been together for a while. He joined your stable in 2013. January this year, he signed a 3-year extension as well. So, what does this win mean for him to become a 2-time major champion?
I don't know. So we've talked about it. Like, we're very close. He's more like a son to me. My son gets on really well with him, and they talk a lot about things away from darts, because my son's not into darts. He's into everything but not darts. And they talk a lot away, so he gets Dimmy's mind off darts, talking about other things. So for him to sign an extension was superb. Obviously, I'd like to stay with him for the rest of his career, and I think he'd like the same, because when we started negotiations for this contract, it sounds a little bit silly, but he was scared to talk to me because he didn't want to upset me, and so on and so on. But in the end, when we did finally spoke, every time I wanted to speak to him, the time was wrong. He just lost at the Worlds or just lost at the Players' Championship. I didn't want to speak to him before that tournament because I didn't want his mind being somewhere else. So everything just seemed to be wrong at the wrong time. And then January, there's a few days left, and we've gone, listen, this has got to happen now. And so we spoke, and it probably took about 10 minutes, if that, and we just agreed what we agreed, and we said, that's it. And next thing, I said, right, I'm not even hanging about now. I booked a flight, jumped on a plane, Actually, it was the world final because I sat in his house and we watched the two Lukes play that absolutely amazing world final together. So yeah, he signed the contract that day. Although we pre-signed it and emailed it over, I still wanted it in writing. I wanted to see it for myself, if you know what I mean.
Definitely. Well, last one on Dimmy before we move on to some other players in your stable. And there's been a lot of changes in his life since he won that first major at the World Match Play. He moved to England, become a dad. Now he's moved back to Belgium. You've been by his side through all of it, so you've seen him lifting that trophy at the weekend. That must have made it even extra special as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 100% it did. Like I say with Dimmy, last year he had a lot of problems. I mean, he just got a new child and he hasn't seen her grow up, and he was away. He got Premier League, got all the World Series. I was going with him as well, but I wasn't throwing darts and I was absolutely shattered. And then coming back playing floor tournaments, he couldn't really miss tournaments because where he was in the floor ranking, he needed to play these tournaments to get into the European. So whereas the big name players could, Gezi Price, Nathan, Michael, they could all have time out and have a rest and have a couple of weeks off and go on holiday. That didn't happen to Dimmy. And at the end of the year, he stopped practicing when he went home because he wanted to be with his daughter. His game dropped off, and then his head started to get a bit messy. And after the Worlds, I mean, don't get me wrong, he lost first round or second round when he comes in against Florian Empel at the Worlds. But he didn't play bad, he played fantastic. And then Florian took out, I think it was a 1-5-2. And the whole game just flipped on its head. But until then, Dimmy was superb. And then it didn't really drop off. Florian actually just went on the rampage, just went ridiculously good, which we know he can do because he'd done it last time against Dimmy, and went on to win the game. But we sat there and we talked about a psychologist and everything. And he ended up, he got a guy that worked for a couple of the football teams in Belgium and spoke to him. I've met him as well. I've sat in the company. He came to Leicester with us, and a lovely man. And he's been helping Dimmy a lot, just telling him what to do. And a lot of what Dimmy done on stage on Sunday was because the psychologist told him to do it. Like he said, if you address the board and you're not right, walk away. You're not there for everyone. You're there for you. The final's a reward, not a punishment. So don't just do it for other people. Do it for you. So at 10-8, Dimmy had give it all. In fact, I'll go back just a little bit. At 8, when Dimmy took out 130 to go 8-4 up, he celebrated like he'd won the title. It was a huge shot. It went straight up to the board after celebrating and everything. All the emotions coming out. His heart rate is like 110 miles an hour. Everything, adrenaline's flowing. His hands are shaking. It went straight up to the board and through, and he hit 45. And then lost the next 4 legs, in fact 5 legs on the trot. No, 4 legs, sorry. 4 legs on the trot. And Luke got it back to 8-8. So when he went 10-8 up, he went straight to the board, and then he obviously remembered what the psychologist had told him. You're there for you, take your time, do what you've got to do, readdress it if you don't feel right. So he walked to the table to get a drink, and the crowd started booing, and he tried to explain to the crowd, if you see, he was pointing at his head and going, I'm shaking, I just need a drink, and the crowd are booing more and more, and then he's like tried to compose himself. But then he walked to the board and he had a cracking. I think he started off with 2 trebles. Yes, he lost the leg and then lost the next leg because he missed doubles. That's down to nerves and experience. He's playing the world champion, the world number 1. He's going to win his first major for 4 years, you know, or first TV tournament. Some people don't call it a major. But in the end, he got the job done, so we can say it worked. In hindsight, I suppose it's not the kind of thing you want to see, but if I'm a football manager and I'm playing Manchester City, I'm going to put 10 men behind the ball because I don't want to play attacking football and get beat 9-0. I want to try and keep it tight because if I keep getting beat, my job's on the line. I'm going to get sacked. But if I put 10 men behind the ball and get a result, I'm in a job next week and the week after and the week after. So it's a results business, and he had to do what was right for him. I think a lot of the stick he's getting is unfair. I don't like to see people get booed. I don't like to see slow play, but at the end of the day, he's not a cheat like a lot of people called him. It may be tactics, I don't know. It depends how you look at it. But he just does what's for him. And sometimes it's not pretty, but he don't always play like that. But at the moment, he's going through a lot of difficulties, and it was the final. against the best player in the world. And Luke came out and said it. I'm not angry with him. I think he's done great. He's had to do what he's had to do. And I totally respect Luke for the way he spoke. And I'd say it again, like I started the interview, absolutely top class world champion Luke Humphries is. Really is.
Yeah, can't argue with that. And well, let's get on to some of your other players then. And we have to mention young Jenson Walker, 17 years old. He's hit a 9-darter on the Challenge Tour this year, won a match on the main stage at the UK Open on Friday afternoon. He's certainly one to watch, isn't he?
Oh, you know what, honestly, Alex. So, Sean Casey Ball phoned me up and he said, Matt, would you become ambassador for the Coventry Youth Academy? I said, it'll be an honour, Sean, I'd love to do that. I said, what do you want me to do? He said, well, nothing really, just be an ambassador. If you can pop in now and again, or even if you can bring a player down. So anyway, they had an exhibition with Wayne Mardell the one day. So me and Jose had nothing to do. So I said to Jose, do you fancy coming down? See the lads? He's like, 100%, don't want no money, Jose. He'll do it for the fun, he'll do it for the boys and the girls. Everyone that was there, he's not interested in the money side of it. So we rocked up there. It was a nice surprise for the kids. Nobody expected us to turn up. We've walked in. Jose took his darts and his dart shirt. So Sean said, "What? Will you have a game?" Jose's going, "Yeah, of course." Sean's going, "Like, we'll give you some expenses and that." And Jose's like, "I don't want nothing. Keep it. Put it back into the academy." Anyway, there was the doubles match. Wayne got drawn out against someone, and Jose got drawn with Jenson Walker. So the interceptors, I'm sitting there and I've looked at this kid, he's come off and lovely. Honestly, I can't even explain how nice he is. There was just not a bad bone in his body, he's just so nice. Anyway, he came up, introduced himself and everything, and I sat and I watched and I thought, this kid's got something. He's really got something. He's not overawed by anything, and he was just getting on with it. And it was a great night anyway, blah, 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 blah. A few months later down the line, sat there, I kept watching his results, and he was doing okay. So first of all, I phoned Sean up. I said, Sean, I'm interested in signing Jenson. What's your thoughts? He's gone, mate, he needs it, he'll love it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, met Sean at Sean's office, and then Jenson and his father came over. We had a chat. I told him what I could do for him and everything. Offered him a deal, shook my hands, and the rest is history. He's just grown and grown and grown. And then obviously played in the UK Open, and we said just go up there on stage. Doesn't matter what happens, enjoy yourself. If you get beat 6-0, you get beat 6-0. The achievement is you've got here, and that is a massive achievement for you. And you're 17 years old. Obviously everyone's looking at Luke, who's 17 years old, and he's just ripping trees up for fun. You know, the guy's amazing. So it's difficult for any other young 17-year-old to follow that path, because people think, because he can do it, they can do it. But Jenson's got his feet on the ground and everything, and he played Sebastian, who is an absolutely amazing player as well. And I had the belief Jenson could beat him as long as he kept his focus. And if you watch Jenson, he did keep his focus. Every now and again, he'd have a glance over at his family. I think we was all going crazy, and he was the only one who kept his feet on the ground. And he got the win, and he was great. He was really disappointed next game, but you know what? I said to him, look, you've done it on stage in front of like thousands of people on TV as well. I said that's a huge achievement for your age, from where you've come from to where you are now in a year. And he's like every other 17-year-old. He wants it all now, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? But he's got a great family around him, and I tell him all the time. And Paul Woodage, who works beside me and everything, like he's always looking after him and nurturing him and everything. We're always saying to talk to him, listen, don't run before you can walk. And I point to Dimitri. I said, Dimitri, it was 4 years before Dimitri became half decent. He couldn't win a game on the floor when Dimitri was playing in the PDC. The UK Opens were going, and I think he went 22 games without earning money. He'd win a couple in the UK Open, but then you had to win 3 games before you got any money. In the qualifiers, I mean, not the UK Open, in the qualifiers. And we used to have 6 qualifiers to get to the UK Open. And I point to Dimmy and say, look, he went through a lot, and look where he is now. And so I'm really proud of Jenson. He's an absolutely fantastic acquisition to our team, and such a lovely guy. And I really hope, and I'm convinced he will kick on and become a great player. Really do. Honestly, I believe that.
Yeah, he certainly made a name for himself at the weekend, and 3 other young players that you've got in your stable, they're already established on the PDC tour, or they've just come onto the tour. You've got Kevin Doets, Adam Gawlas, they've both signed extensions to their deals with you. Dom Taylor, he's signed up this year as well. What are your hopes for them 3 this year?
Well, Kevin has kicked on. Towards the end of last year, it looked like he was going to lose his tour card, and then he qualified for the Players, he qualified for the World Championships, played superb against Michael Smith in the World Championship, as we all seen, and he's just kept it going. And it's difficult for players like Kevin, Dom, Adam, because they all work at home. They're not like, they can't afford to leave their jobs. I know it's professional, but they still have to work, and now it's midweek. They have to juggle work around darts. They've got great managers at home and everything, obviously, because at work, obviously, because they let them have the time off and they know that the darts is important to them. But when you're working all day and then you've got to come home and then you've got to put another 2-3 hours practicing on the board, like you've got a girlfriend, like Adam's, Kevin's just got a new child. So, it's difficult to juggle everything around, but Kevin's kicking on. Adam's on the PDC, he's doing okay. In the youth, I think it's affected him a lot. In the development, or should I say, it's affected him a lot. It's like he can't really lift it all. Is it maybe the same as Owen? Is it because you're playing PDC and then you're going straight into development tour and you're playing like 7 days on the trot or you're away from home? And it's quite difficult because the development tour is 2 tournaments in a day, and you're there at like 8 o'clock in the morning. You're starting at 10 o'clock, and if you're playing well, especially the second one, you're going through to 8, 9 o'clock at night, get some food, and it's all of a sudden it's 10:30, 11 o'clock. 9 times out of 10 you can't go to sleep straight away if you've had a good day because you're thinking about it and your mind's racing. So I understand, and it's difficult to juggle, but it's all experience, it's all a learning curve, and this is why they do it, and this is what these young fellas they've got to learn to adjust if they want to be a top player. But I believe in him. Dom Taylor, local lad to mine, Ed, he's from Bristol. Started off the year, he was throwing phenomenal averages locally. One match he won 6-1 in I think it was a Steve Brown ADC, maybe, I don't know. But he had 117 average, if I think that was right. He was just brilliant. But obviously when you come over to PDC, it's a little bit different. Even though you're playing well, you're punished. The slight miss, you're punished, and I think he's finding it at the moment a little bit difficult to adjust. But he'll come. I've got the utmost faith in him, and that's why I signed him. But going on to Dom, I had Dom obviously with Will Adamson previously. So although Will looked after him and everything, I always kept a close eye on Dom. But now he's signed for our company because it's the PDC, and he's like around the family part of it and all that, which he's loving. We've just got to get the results out. But I'm really happy with everyone at the moment. I'm not going to lie. They're not ripping up trees, but they're being consistent at the moment. There's a few players that will kick on, hopefully. But it's new. All the new tour card holders are playing okay. Jeffrey DeGrasse, another one, is playing okay without getting the results. Played great in the UK Open against Matty Dennons and got beat. He played Gary Anderson in Leicester, had 104 average. Gary had 111, got beat. It's insane the standard that these boys are coming into, and I think it's a bit of a shock to the system. But you have to learn to adjust.
Couple away from darts before we let you go, we can see from your social media that you love a trip to Tenerife. I've been a couple of times, I can vouch for it as well, but what is your favourite part about Tenerife?
My favourite part about Tenerife is going to see my friends. I've got Jay Dean and John, who own the Vault Bar, who sponsor Callan Ridge, by the way. They own the Vault Bar in Los Cristianos. That is probably the best bar in Tenerife. It's great. It's a family atmosphere. They have live bands every day. They have drag artists in the day. The food's amazing. There's just nothing I can say that's bad about that bar. And they are 2 of my bestest friends in the world. I love them to bits. We have a group chat with Fox, who you had on not long ago. And the banter we have is just, honestly, it's brutal, but it's funny. And we can say anything, There's never any animosity. And also, two of my other friends that are singers over there, Stuart and Corey, I follow them around wherever they are. I'll go to a bar, sit and listen to them. I've heard them a million times, and every time I listen to them, they're brilliant. So yeah, I'm never, even if I go on my own, I'm never alone. As places go, I love Costa Rica, but most of all, obviously, love Las Americas and down the Golden Mile. Love the restaurants. So yeah, and just the weather, of course. I love the weather. And obviously, very good, very nice has become a friend of mine. Although I've stopped posting videos now, I thought it got to be boring now.
Good times. And lastly, we're not going to mention my football team or Burton's, but your team, Aston Villa, 4th in the Premier League when we're talking. Are you starting to dream of Champions League football at Villa Park next season?
Do you know, listen, honestly, I'm happy with Europe. If we finish 7th again and get Conference League, I'm happy. Of course I want Champions League. I want us to win the league. We're not going to, but that's what I want, and that's what we all strive for. But I've been to every game in Europe, and I've loved it. I've been to Bosnia. I'd never go to Bosnia. I went to Bosnia, bought 2 flights. On the way back, we had a nightmare because our flight got cancelled, and then the game before Kevin at the Worlds as well. So we had to get a taxi to Sarajevo, and then Sarajevo into Zagreb by flight, then sit in the airport, and then Zagreb to Heathrow, and I made it a minute to 7 to Ali Pali. But that's the kind of sacrifice that I'll make for the Villa. And I'm off 8 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going down to Heathrow at 4 o'clock in the morning, flying at 8 to Amsterdam, spend a day in the Dam, and then on Thursday go to game, Ajax, hopefully smash them, so I can give Jermaine a load of stick because he's also going the game, and then me and Jermaine are driving straight to Belgium after the game for the Belgian darts, where Dimmy is going to be his first tournament back, which is brilliant, is in Belgium as the UK Open champion. So hopefully he'll get a fantastic, well, I'll just say hopefully, I know he will. He'll get a brilliant reception.
Happy days. Well, Mac, it's always a pleasure to get you on the show. Thanks very much for giving us some of your time. Congratulations again on the big win for Dimitri, and wish you and all your players all the best for the rest of 2024 as well.
Alex, it's always a pleasure to come on, mate. You haven't spoken to me for 4 years. I thought you forgot about me. But now I'm back. I'm back, mate, and I'm going to be here for a long time, hopefully. But listen, to all of you, you do a great job, and you know how much I love your podcast. So you take care. Keep up the good work, mate.